remember, it's coming through this. There's no authority in it. I'm just going to share. If the shoe fits, wear it. Yes? So the idea of, to me, non-duality is just a negation. It's just saying not to. Yeah. So when a lot of people hear that, they immediately want to study the one. Yeah. But really, the importance is to study the two and realize you're not two, and you'll find out that you are what you call one. Yeah? Instead of using the not two, all right, not two, I'm going to study to become the one. Yes? Or I'm going to start searching for the one, or I'm going to start trying to understand the one. And then a lot of people, you'll see them and they'll speak about the one. All there is this consciousness and all this and all that, yes? But what's hearing it is comprised as the two, yeah? So the two negates the hearing of the one completely, completely. So what you want to do is negate the two, yes? This is a different meeting. This is not a meeting that there's going to be skillful means shared, or that there's going to be a process offered, or there's going to be an inspiration to be vigilant and keep maintaining and go on and you know, get to the next cliff and surrender and fall off. This isn't this type of meeting. This meeting is questioning all the premises of all these things that many of us have traveled down. And it took a long time to admit the failure of the system. We were busily admitting our failure from not doing enough or being enough or having enough, yes? But we never questioned the whole system. How you doing, guys? So, PG&E. Yeah. So, it's sort of like this. It's sort of like, there's a great statement by a master, Huang Po. He says, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Yes? So let's say our activity here is as an obscuring agent. Yes? We're obscuring what's happening by being the observer of it. Yeah? So we're obscuring. So you can't use that which is obscuring to clear up the obscuring. Yeah? You can say it in thousands of ways, but really, the whole premise of non-duality is to question the sense of you, yeah? Not to question the sense of the nature or the true nature of the universe, but just your nature, yeah? To see how you're comprised and see that maybe in 1 second you feel like the subject. I'm seeing, I'm thinking, I'm feeling, and then the next second you're cast as an object. You're being thought about, yes? So, 1 second you're the subject doing everything, then the next second you're being observed and thought about and critiqued and gone over, yes? So this subject-objectness is happening all day. Now we feel there's a unity to it because we take ourselves to be a body, but we are so extremely conflicted just in the activity of how we live every day, yeah? So you have thousands of feelings and sensations, and the head is constantly trying to rush up to it and put a tail on it and say, it's my feeling, my sensation. All these thoughts that are coming in, my thoughts, as if you're not the factory that produces thoughts, yes? You're the observation of thoughts. You see thoughts, yeah? Or hear them. The way you see them is hearing them, say. And the weird thing is, their sound, which is all made up. No one else is hearing them, hopefully. The sound is of your voice, which you think is your voice because you're identified as the body that's making the sound. So you say, oh, that implies Paul. So these are Paul's thoughts, yeah? That's how simple the obscuring continues, yeah? As soon as the thoughts are seen as Paul's, the thoughts now are used to obscure Paul, or to obscure what we are, yeah? So the Paul itself is the basis of obscuring, and then you're trying to use that basis of obscuring to become clear. It's pointless. See it? I mean, it's a failed system, yeah? So the point is, it's like riding a dead horse. You know, you can get all the greatest maps and fucking you got the best oats and you got the greatest grooming brush. It's fucking dead. It's not going to take you anywhere. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And you can't get out of this dilemma that the observation of this place is distorted by the observed is distorted by the observation. We're the observation. Yeah? So as soon as I look at something, I've made it something. Yeah? I made it something. It's not you making it. Oh, I've been making shit something all day. Bad, bad, bad. No. The activity of what we are. Let's say you listen to a description. All right. So the description is this old dude, used to be a younger dude, grew up in New York, did this, got hit. And you go, yeah, that's me. That sounds like me. And then, all right, you hear another description of what you may be. Hey, you're the dreaming of the dreaming. You're forgetting that you're dreaming, and in that forgetfulness, you're giving everything you're dreaming the power to affect you. That sounds like a better description of what I am than the fucking story of a historical Paul. Totally. I mean, the verbness of that is much more attuned to what I am than the idea of being a noun back then. I'm going to be a noun. I was a noun. I did this. I did that. I had this. I lost this. There's that, it's hollow. It's like a tin. You hit it, it's like, oh yeah, everyone's believing it, I might as well go for it. But if you hear a real description of what you are, not who you are, what you are. Hey, you're the dreaming of the dream. What? So wait a minute, first of all, this statement is casting this reality as a dreaming. You know, I'm not saying believe it or not, but maybe if it's entertained, it may be able to change the basis of how you're traveling every day. Instead of being, oh, the most we can get to is this, is I'm an object in someone else's dream, and something much more powerful me is fucking with me all day, and I'd love to get out of the dream, but I can't get out of the dream. No, this is leaping way past there. You're the dreaming. That whole story of being the dreamt is the dreaming. That which is wanting to get out of the dream is the dreaming. You're doing it all in a sense, not as Paul, digging a hole. Paul's digging a hole, but as our activity here. Our activity here is dreaming. This is dreaming. Oh no, this is real. Then if this is real, it's not imposing much effect on you. You override what's happening here by your subjective experience. Everyone comes to the same event and everyone has a different take on it. You override, you outshine the circumstances and situations that you're giving the power to fuck you. You outshine them. It's basic, you can see it. Someone is in the same day having a terrible day and you're not having a terrible day. Someone is totally flipping out right here. It's not contagious. We're all dreaming, yeah? So let's get that down. Maybe, just maybe, you hear a description of that. It sounds much more familiar to what you are than, oh yeah, the statistics, 6'2", got hit by a car, Yes, it's like applying your own tattoo every day. Yes. It's a story, yes. And then you're bound by the story because you don't realize you're having a story. You give the story the power to have you. Yeah, you don't see, like the Course in Miracles, lesson 2, if you've never heard the Course in Miracles. Lesson 2. So obviously it's one of the basic lessons, because there's 365 lessons. Lesson 2 is, you and I give everything all the meaning it has. It's not saying, you give all, it's just throwing a suggestion out there. Why don't you put that shoe on? Wait a minute. Am I giving everything all the meaning it has? Now you think as this, but this has been given a meaning. This has been given the meaning that it's you. Yeah. So then all the other meanings are based on self-centeredness. So you get caught in a simple interpretation that has all different nouns and verbs, but it's basically a self-centered interpretation. You see life as how it pertains to you. That's how it goes. What? Yeah. So in that, you are giving everything all the meaning it has. There's no loophole in that statement. If it lands, it's absolute. It has two absolutes in one sentence. You're giving everything. It doesn't say, you're giving most things, especially on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays, but Wednesdays are really fucking with you. They're giving you a lot of, you know what I mean? No, it says, you and I are giving everything, all, meaning totally inclusive. There's no little exemption. There's no, I can exempt myself from all. No, you can't. I can exempt myself from everything. No, you can't. What does that do? Why don't you just let it run on you, run over you like water? It's like a shower that you never say enough. You just let it roll over you. It will change, because you have a manufactured structure that you're looking through, a prism of lenses. By the time you see what you think you're seeing, it's totally manufactured. Yeah? And then what you get back is just an interpretation of the same old, same old. If you looked at it, it's coming from 1973, applying into 2018. You're just rehashing, refeeling, redoing, rethinking, re. Yeah? It's just like a loop. We never get out of it. And we're so afraid. We're so afraid in this loop that we're so afraid it doesn't matter how much evidence that we're okay is demonstrated. We live under the basis that, prior to that okayness is a vast unokayness. Yeah, this okayness is flawed. It's just going to drop out at any minute, and I'll be swimming in that vast unokayness. It's all mental interpretation. You didn't have it when you were a kid, unless you were in a violent situation. Most of my friends weren't afraid to go out. We were like chomping at the bit. Mom, open the door, you're out. Running around. It was no. I had no idea of time yet then. I had no idea of, I could be killed in any minute. It wasn't happening. And I wasn't trying to get into the moment. I hadn't thought the insane idea I could be out of a moment. I was just a kid running around. You still have the same qualities. They're not of this. They're more of what we are expressing here, not this. If you see this as a cause, you're going to be affected by tons of shit. Really. If you see this as the cause, you're constantly running an obstacle course, because everything can affect you. One thought can ruin your day. One IRS letter. One bad diagnosis from the hospital, or just one look in the mirror and looking at your present-day face. Oh, fuck. A lot of things can shock you. I mean, your story is like you're still 18 and you're like, fuck. Whoa. You're still parking at junior high schools. Wait a minute. You'll be arrested if you do that now. So non-duality to me is just a negation. And then it's really, if you're interested, you can study what you're not. Yeah, you can study it. You can understand what you're not. You can understand how what you're not expresses through a dualistic manner. So it sees yes and no, high, low, connected, disconnected. Yes? And how that duality comes back. If you pull it back, it comes to this this manufactured dualism that we experience ourselves as subject-object all day. Sometimes I'm the subject, I'm doing a lot of shit, and sometimes I'm the object that someone's doing to me. Yes? There's no basis. You're neither one or the other, but you'll feel like one and the other all day. I find it like when I decide to go on a 3-week retreat, when I did. That was pure subject deciding that. Then I got to the retreat. After the 3rd day, the object appears. What the fuck? I'm sitting here for 13 hours. My ass is killing me. It has no desire to be at a 3-week retreat. It's sitting on its ass for 13 hours. Suddenly, but while I'm planning it, it's all subject. Oh yes, I'm gonna reach the stars. When there, you just trying to get the pillows jacking up your left cheek. It dominates your whole experience, and then you're so fucking pissed as the subject, yes? And you go back and forth, back. You can't, it's like having the Confederate and the Union Army on a march. You both go in different directions every day. All right, I call the arms. What? Yeah. So you see that? Okay. How could there be a mythical one that's bouncing from this and that? There's no one bouncing from this and that. There's just bouncing. Subject, object, subject, object. There is no subject that's going this way. The subjectivity is just there, and then the mental state's going ding, 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 like a seesaw. It's down here, thinks up there would be best, so it runs up there, that becomes down there. And basically, you just see it all day. And it obviously implies there's a one that's down here, and that one wants to get up here. As soon as it gets up here, it's down here, and it cannot, its logic, it can't get it. The logic is contrived, it's finite. It keeps running into its fail-safe mechanism where it's forbidden to go. And it just keeps boom, 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 and it just can't, every time it pulls back, it runs right into the same wall again. And just because there's a lot of other people doing it, and some have robes, and they seem to have black belts and like this, but basically you're like, wait a minute, you know? Then maybe, just maybe, out of the blue, you read a book at a store or something, and you come to a sentence that says, hey, the seeker is the sought. So that which is looking is what you're looking for. What? It makes so that's like a twist in the logic, yeah? Because the logic is, I'm not what I'm looking for, therefore I'm looking all freaking day to improve it or find a mate to make myself feel better or whatever. Yes? The whole premise is I'm not what I'm looking for. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this shit. That's why I'm listening to people. That's why I'm donating thousands of dollars to sit with people who you never even see the teacher at the retreat. They're having lattes in the back. They know better to sit for 13 hours. They're not with you the whole time. Bye-bye. Yes? So after you blame you in so many various ways, maybe, just maybe, you hear a statement, hey, what's looking is what you're looking for. And of course the mental state goes, where, right? But then it dawns maybe, hey, right now I am that which my head is looking for all freaking day. And it's using that which I am to find that which I am. Something's off in that. And therefore time is created, in a sense, or made, to keep looking for what I am, which is impossible to ever find because you are what's looking. So in time, it just goes on and on and on. And you have progress and experiences and all this stuff and different states. But that one basis is completely untouched by all the other shit. It's still you. Yeah? There's still a you that's proceeding to find the authentic you. As if you're giving the importance of finding the authentic you to the false you and expecting to get the shipment delivered. You know what I mean? How is the false you going to arrive at the authentic you? Just see you're not the false you from the authentic instead of looking for the authentic you from the false. Just switch it around and look at what you're not. Are you the thinker of all the thoughts that are happening? Like if you were a runner, then you'd be sweating unbelievably. Why aren't you sweating with all the thinking you're doing? Because you're not doing any of the thinking. Your sense of being is being conscious. It's not demonstrating any thought or effort. If your eyes work, you're going to see what's here. It's not like, I choose to see what's... You're seeing what's here before you make a choice. The volition holds no order. You're seeing it. The seeing was there on my worst day, and it's there on my best day. It wasn't wanting to see more on my best day, or wanting to see less. So that was the head. The head didn't want to see that much. Yes, so then it denies and distorts and evades and forgets all of these systems that can't change the basic fact of conscious contact. You're awake inherently. That's the drag to the mental state. The mental state would love to become awake on its own terms and at its own time. It's trying to avoid the fact that you're inherently awake, because that disputes its whole story. What would happen? You know how much seeking has gone on during your day? And I don't mean the big targets of enlightenment. I mean seeking all day. Seeking a little bit more of comfort, seeking this, seeking that. The engine is constantly, the seeking is what drives the sense of time. The seeking makes the time, in a sense. So because you have to have time to seek through. So there's seeking, this urge to seek constantly, and then the seeking is combined with time, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Now that's fine to seek a better job or a better pair of pants or a date or this or that, but to seek what you are as what you are is not fine. It doesn't fucking work. So let's get that dispute done and start there. And then today, maybe I'm looking for another latte today. Wow, I probably will be successful. I will, yeah. And then what will happen? I'll put that down. And then after having and losing all the things I wanted, I see Buddhism 101. Everything is temporary. It isn't really that satisfying. It's fine, I like it, but I'm not pinning all my hopes on this because it's not the latte, nor is it the date, nor is it the pants, nor is it the vacation or the wave, yes? So you see it by your own observation, because now the camera that you are isn't agitated. You're here because you can't be anywhere else. You haven't arrived in the moment. You've realized you can't be out of a moment. What happens? The tripod is stable. So now there's observation, and you see what works, and you see what doesn't work, and you see what you're not quite a lot. And in seeing what you're not, it emphasizes, I'm not that. Not like, I'm not that, like, it's just, I'm not that. I mean, I'm not fucking beholden to it, really. Yeah. So suddenly, because see, if everything's moving, you have no clear view. And if you're in the mental state, you're moving constantly. You believe in time, which is agitation. And then and you believe that something about you isn't enough, so you're constantly on the prowl to seek. Yeah, which is more agitation. And as a great Zen master says, you can't use activity or agitation to produce stillness. That would be activity. So what happens? Non-duality, to me, corrects the mistake that never happened. Yeah? So now suddenly your tripod, the three legs are sound. And now you start seeing what's happening. Yes? I mean, as Zen would say, blue is blue and red is red and green is green. You start seeing things as not completely as they are, obviously, but more as they are. Yeah? And in that, there's the observations lead to what? An understanding. What does the understanding lead to? A way of life, yes? What does the way of life do? Provide a stability you can't find out here. What does that do? You travel lighter as what you're not. What does what you not want the most? Basically to travel lighter. What it cannot produce by its own interest in that topic is traveling lighter. So you lose interest in what you're not, and then what you're not develops a habit of traveling lighter. It gets exactly what it wanted, but by admitting it's failed, it cannot get what it wants. It cannot be what it wants. It cannot do itself into what it wants to do itself into. So it sees the failedness of the system, and in that, it's the biggest upgrade of the system. The greatest upgrade of the system is that one particular fact is finally noticed. It's failed. The system is failed. So when you look, you're like, why am I not seeing everything clearly? You're not doing that anymore. You realize you're seeing that, not seeing clearly. Yes? So you're like the camera, looking at the camera, go, hey, it's a brownie. It's not a Nikon with fucking $8,000 lenses. It's like a little brownie that just assumes and presupposes and implies and just takes everything for fucking granted. Very little investigation. So now you're not wasting trying to spend a $10,000 lens and sticking it on the Brownie. The Brownie was like a little $10 camera you used to buy that had a plastic lens when you were younger, and you could just basically point and hope. You couldn't even see the person, and then hope you captured it. So there you are putting a $10,000 Nikon lens on the Brownie, but the previous lens to the Nikon is going to distort all the clarity you're getting. You're going to be super clear as a Brownie, but be completely unclear that you're not a Brownie. So I put a nice polishing cream on the Brownie lens. I have a way of life that keeps it somewhat clear. I don't need any upgrades because you can't. The Brownie has quite a limitation. It maybe has one upgrade. That's it. So I lose interest in the urban renewal project of being Paul, and I gain interest in what? What's happening? Yes, I sense a presence at all times, right where I am. Yeah. So the basic call to arms has been muted. Yeah. The shot at the beginning of the starting line it's over. Yes. It's not like it's over. Yeah. This hunt isn't sent out on this dog ain't sent out on the hunt anymore. It's lounging around, it's sleeping in a nice fucking bed. Dogs basically take over the house. So it's broad, I don't know. I tell you, from the results, they verify the entertaining of the possibility. There needs to be a loss of interest in you, and you can't lose interest in you. There's a loss of interest in the you, or a you, but you can't lose interest in you. That would be interest in you. You can't. It's no way out. Yeah. You can't get around that. Try it. Try to include yourself into the equation. It'll end up the same way. So what happened with me, because I give it a broad title called selfing. Yeah. So what is selfing? Well, one way I can say it is selfing is the act of being identified as a long-lasting, independent, separate thing that's attributed the doership, the haver, the loser, the whatever. Yes. So the whole thing is a verb. So most people would say, oh, the act of being identified as a self. So there's the verb, act of being identified, and then a noun, self. I try to get around that by calling it selfing. So the verb implies a noun, but there's no noun that's doing the selfing, yes? So this is how most people hear it. So they get in touch with me and they go, Paul, I've been watching me self all day. I've been selfing all day. That's not the message, see? That feeling of being the one doing the selfing is what the selfing produces. Yeah? The selfing produces exactly what I just said. It produces the sense of being self, yeah? Suddenly the selfing produces the sense of self, and then the sense of self is put in a proprietary position. I'm doing everything. I'm the selfing. I've been selfing all day. Or I become an object to the selfing. Oh, selfing has been driving me crazy. It's the perfect illustration. I don't have to go any farther. That's the illustration of it. There's a verb that is being used to imply a noun, and usually what we start at is at the noun, and then we claim to be the doer of the verb. This verb, mental process, that's verbing, and any process you go in, thoughts, memories, perceptions, it's always in the act of being identified as a self. That's what it is. So you see the verb from what you are, yeah, you see it, but if you fall into the story, you feel like you're the one that's doing the verbing, yeah? The verbing implies a noun. You become identified as a noun. Now you're the one that's doing everything, that's thinking everything, that's having everything, that's losing everything. You become the alpha and the omega, and it's made up. You're an effect. You're not a cause. You're an effect. You think you're causing tons of effect. You're an effect of a cause. And that's dreaming. So this helped me because it put the horse in front of the cart. Because I'll tell you, to see life from the cart, every time you'll go to a class to chant you're not the doer, what we be chanting that is the doer. You're trying to deny what you are will reinforce what you're not. This is the dilemma. You are so powerful, you can't get out of the dreaming you're dreaming, yeah, as the dreamt. All there is verbing. Some of the verbing is implying a noun. We are in the act of being identified as that noun when we're devoted or having faith in the thought systems. Yes? We find ourselves in the act of being identified as a noun. And the noun story is that it has a lot to do with shit it has nothing to do with. It's constantly thinking it's da-da-da-da-da. And it puts itself in a position that everything it's dreaming now has the ability to affect it, and it's not happy, and therefore it's seeking for some fucking relief. And it wants immediate relief to the point, against all wisdom, it will shoot some coke. It will drink. It will act out once again. It'll rob that store. It will do this because of the unbearability of feeling like it's feeling for another second. I've seen people do a lot of shit. I've seen people smoke freebase and they do anything for another hit of freebase. And I mean anything in 1 second. They would kill you. They're not murderers, but there's a murdering intent that arises because of what takes them over. Yes? Anyone who's been an addict or an alcoholic has to see that something else took them over and used them for transportation, basically, really. And you would always get left holding the bag. The bank robber never gets caught, it's the car that gets caught. And then you get impounded and go away for 20 years. And then suddenly the subjectivity arises again and you suffer exquisitely. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? You fucking didn't do it. Something drove you to the scene of the crime and then pins it on you. And then you take the fall, basically. Yeah? And how are you going to get out of being the doer? Through doing? How are you going to get out of being the thinker? Through thinking? No way. There's people here who have been trying this for hundreds of years, and this right here, maybe over 100 years, of failed this. Why do you think we're here? All right. Any questions? Yeah.
What does it possibly? You're not a Buddhist. You're not presenting yourself as a Buddhist teacher, but you're familiar with this stuff. What does it possibly mean when a Buddhist tradition says, "I vow to save all sentient beings"? Isn't that positing an actor, or is there some way that that's reconciled with the message that you're putting forward?
No, it's a nice statement of the dreaming in the dreamt. So the dreaming saying, "I'm never leaving the dreamt until everyone who isn't the dreamt wakes up." Far out.
Women and children first.
You got to see the dreaming can speak through the dreamt at any time. And then what some of the greatest statements of the dreaming, if held by the dreamt, seems to be a giant call to fucking lot of work and this and that. But from where it's coming from, it doesn't mean that at all. Yeah? If you hear the dreaming as the dreamt, it's definitely going to get distorted completely.
That reminds me that I was going to ask you, when Buddha said that well, we can't teach this, and then he says, "Oh, some will understand." Would you say that's the same if you're saying that I'm not pitching this to you, I'm pitching it over your head.
For sure.
Your mind will happen.
Yeah. The dreaming, let's say the dreaming's here, happening. And so there's a great statement by the Course. I don't know if I ever, what it means to me, I wish I could convey to you with words. It's a very juicy statement to me. So it says, you and I are the dreaming of the dream, yes? And we're going to dream ourselves out of the dream. So what would that mean? You'd be using the material of the dream to dream oneself out of the dream, yes? It's not like jettisoning off the fourth side, part of the rocket. You're going to use that to dream yourself out of the dreaming. And as you do, or as you are, the dream will get happier. That's a pretty nice statement to me. So I would say this is happening seemingly in the dreaming, and maybe this is a vehicle, and this is the beauty of what's available, because we are what we're looking for. So whatever touches us on the shoulder in life is truly us, basically, waking up us. Yeah. So here, the Course in Miracles has this incredible idea of the Holy Spirit. So in this dreaming, there's it and turns it into what we think is happening. The Holy Spirit will take the same raw material and turn it and use it completely differently. And we have the same thing with the idea of a higher power. Yeah. So we recognize something and we ask that power to reconfigure it. It's the same juice, it's the same raw material, but what it will build with it is much different than what the mental state builds with it. And you've had enough examples of the mental states building codes, yes? And you get stuck in a fucking very bad mortgage and shit like that. Why not? So maybe you open up to having something else, put the material together, and then present it through you, called your attitude and outlook. And now suddenly, the dream seems to be much happier. Yeah, yes. Yes. There's information being taken in. Something is collating it. They say it. Just look at what the brain does. It's very selective. It actually avoids tons of information, and it like, what do they call it? It picks, the stuff that will support its little narrative. So you have this huge thing, but it's going, and then it puts it in different things, like edits it, and so you got a rationale and a story that does what? It keeps promoting the fucking seeking or whatever it is, yes? So here's the same information, bypasses the mental state, some aspect of mind takes it, and goes, oh, and makes it a beautiful fucking mural. So now you're living through life as a mural, not framed little incidents. The worst thing that ever happened to me, this, when I got run over, this. But no, a fluidity. Yeah, same information, but what's collating it? You've had enough experience of the mental state collating it. If you, in the failedness of that, there's a possibility. You open up for another direction. You don't pick, there's not just one channel available. You could be directed. I was directed by an unsatiable drive to escape for periods of my life. I saw the effect and I observed what that was like. Yeah. Now something else, the same information collates it completely different, where it's a leisurely walk. It promotes a leisurely walk where the other promoted a fucking rabid trying to get everything I could. But it's the same car. Yeah, the car got driven somewhere else. But it has the ability to express and arrive at places, but what's gonna cause where it arrives at is the driver. Just admit the failedness of the driver. Not as the driver, but as that which we are. The driver admitting it just flagellates its fucking self. You're not this little pimple of the mental idea. Your mind, raw mind. Yes? A conclusion can come not in that little system of self-centeredness, but in mind. And that conclusion will be passed down to this system, and it will disrupt it. It will change it. Yeah? Yeah.
In my experience, like my behaviors and my attitude and my outlook is always changing. And sometimes it's like super gung-ho, helping others in the zone, the light, you know, seemingly like connected. And then within days, weeks, months, I can be bitter and resentful, and but at the same time acquiring other attributes. The whole time I'm watching this whole thing happen, and in my experience, that's all I can do is sort of watch it all happen, be an observer of it, and that's it, and sort of, you know, be the bystander watching this life unfold as it does, regardless of whether I want to be something different or want to behave differently, or I don't like the fact that I'm, you know, bitter because the employee didn't respond the way I wanted the employee to be, and I seem to have very little power over what's going on.
That's your power, is admitting that. See, but you saw it, so you said it was great in this, and then there's the idea of something studying that. That's also both of that. Let the lens go back farther. More gets revealed. Yeah. More gets revealed. So maybe you see the first dualistic thing, and then you're thinking you're the observer of that, but then suddenly the observer doesn't like the idea of bitterness and that. That's not observing. You're in the mix there. So you're not that either. Yes? And then you start seeing this. And actually, this idea of being the bystander, yes, seems to be powerless, but there's a huge power in it because it's the dreaming. It's the dreaming. It's not neutered. Yeah? It's not neutered. It can express here. Yeah? And so that, by recognize, so you see the first, like in a recovery, one of the first openings of the aperture is where you see you're rolling things finally. Yes? Takes a while maybe. Suddenly you say, oh, those fuckers were doing this. You see, hey, I was buying drugs and that's why, yeah. All right, so that's a revelatory thing. Wow. But that's just one opening. This has about 8 aperture settings, not 1 or 2. It does. It can see. It's not the seeing, but it can facilitate some damn good seeing. It doesn't have to be just one, because the problem is that system, the effects of the system you saw as a seeming bystander, it has migrated and there's still a sense of you. So the system will critique itself as the system. Yes, it will, definitely. It's like Dracula going out and killing vampires. It will go on vampire hunts every day because it keeps the investigation away from it, yeah? So, yes? So you'll see it. So you see it, and then you see it again, and then maybe you see it, I don't know, 1 time, 8 times, and then there is the possibility of like 100th monkey thing. Your head just goes, whew, yeah? And so the examples, or whatever, were sufficient, whew, yeah? And then, all right, then how you travel through is totally much different. So it's a stabilized traveling lighter through all the level confusions that happen all day, like the Course would say. The mind manifesting here goes through a lot of level confusions. You're super clear at 10 o'clock and 10:15. It's the end of the world. It should be suspicious, yes? So that's how that could go. So there's a lot of, and we're clinging on the hope that one of them is us. Like, oh, let's stabilize this, yeah. And then there's that. So you know what I mean? It's like hitting a mole. One, you think, oh, that's the mole, but you think, oh, this ain't the mole. This could be me. But it's so whatever arises isn't you. Whatever pontificates as being the bystander, the observer, that's not the witness. The witness isn't fucking saying anything. It's not informing itself that it's the witness. It's busy witnessing. Yes. Yeah. We would like to have the witness quality, but it's not ours in a sense. But we do have possibility of aperture, clicking, yeah, surrendered, nice setting, yeah, realizing you're not managerial quality, very nice setting. Realize that any life run on self-will is not going to be successful, good setting. Buddhism 101, very good setting. Whatever comes and goes is missing out of an inherent value. Yes, so that's, and then by seeing all the coming and going, obviously you're going to be the one that continues. Yes. So all the real acknowledgments here are like bumper shots. You don't get it directly. Ting, it hits like, and then you get hit by in the back. Oh, wait a minute. So the cue ball came around, you didn't see it. Boom. And then it moves you, and you, by seeing the fruit, you know the tree's good. Yeah, so let it. You know how miraculous it is to be located right where you are right now? It's mind-boggling in this fucking time tunnel of fucking rushing shit. Just to be always located right where you are is monumental. You take it, it's quite ordinary, yeah, as a state, but with all the other possibilities, it's quite monumental. That this Saturday's not being compared, and even if it is, but it's not even doing that anymore. My head has given up a lot of its, it brings out the basic, like the Seinfeld show, but like the reruns before it have all been canceled, and that which was taken like CNN News is like Comedy Central. It's just fucking hilarious. But then people say, I experienced tons of shit, but there's no one experiencing it. That's the good news. This action figure could flip out in 5 minutes. Oh, I have total control of my action figure. Shoot some coke, I probably wouldn't. Seriously. I mean, if it was a shooting of coke, I would imagine I'd be passing the basket right now. Looking at that bathroom. Oh, let's get this thing over. Why would I want to say this is me and say that's not me? Neither of them are me. Yes? That which is being demonstrated now isn't me. That was demonstrated then wasn't me. You can't have it both ways. Oh, all that that's not me. But now this is, no. It's an abstinence of both, yeah? You abstain from the act of being identified as, though the act of being identified as is continually presented. There's an abstaining of it, yes? So.
It seems to, my interest in that is waning.
Great.
The interest in that.
Interest is great. The shifting of interest is the key, really. And the fundamental fact is you can't lose interest, or you can't gain interest in losing interest. Yeah, you can't set out to lose interest. That would be interest. So you can never get out of you can't use the Chinese thumb torture to get out of a Chinese thumb torture. You're thinking you're observing the Chinese. The Chinese thumb torture is observing the Chinese thumb torture. How can I get out of it? As the Chinese thumb torture. Yeah. We're all in fucking great hands. Seriously. All right, that's it. Eh? Let's pass the basket. Eh? Are you gonna get Pete? You know what it is? Ah.